All right. Good evening, everyone. Oh, wait, hold on. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started in a couple minutes here. I'm sure you guys can see my screen okay. Everything looks good on my end. As a reminder, you guys can ask any questions, comments, or concerns during the webinar. We're going to get started here very shortly. I have 8:58 Central, so we got a couple minutes here. All right. Hope you guys can't hear that fan. Hope it's not too loud. I'll see if I can try to calm it down. All right. It is 9 p.m. Hope everyone is doing well. Sorry about that fan noise. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can hear it like that, but either way, let's go ahead and get everything going here. So first off, I want to thank you guys so much for actually being here at the, of course, at the webinar. I'm excited for you guys to be here. So let's go ahead and get this going. I'm going to turn the volume up on my phone just to make sure you guys can hear me. Oh, good. Okay, perfect. You guys can. Awesome. All right. So we got a lot of people that's going to be watching this. I know someone's watching this, I think at their church, and like everyone's like watching it at the same time. So that was smart, by the way. That was really smart. So but either way, feel free. Let me know if you guys can see my my chat as well. You guys are more than welcome. I'm going to be watching that as I go on. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So introduction. For those who don't know, I've been a landlord since 2013. Okay. I first purchased my 2-unit building back when I was 25. And of course, it's a 2-unit building. Currently, there's 2 separate families in there right now. One on the first floor, one on the second floor. And of course, they're both paying rent. One family has been renting since 2013. Okay. And so far, I've had no lease terminations. All right. Now, let's just go ahead and go straight into this because I know we're going to be pressed for time towards the end. Please ask any questions, comments, or concerns. There is no such thing as a stupid, dumb, question. I promise you it's not. You guys pay for this and you guys deserve to get any question you want answered. Okay, of course, it makes sense. So the first thing we're going to talk about, once you get the property, okay, the first thing you want to do is take photos. All right. I know some people think, well, shouldn't I talk about rent and all the rest of that? I will get to that a little bit later. The reason why the photos are so important is because before you start, once you get the place cleaned up, because sometimes, when you buy a building, it may not be the way you want it to be as far as the paint colors or the floors or whatever. So you want to make sure that you take care of all the cosmetic stuff. And then, of course, you want to start taking photos. Pictures are very important. They're going to be your selling tool because they're going to be your pretty much your mouth online. OK, you guys know, like I know, when you're looking at a pair of shoes, a shirt, anything where there's like visual, a house, apartment, that plays a role. You can't be lazy on this. You'd be surprised how many people I've seen. They'll have, let's say, an apartment for rent, and they only have like 5 photos or 6 photos or something like that. The more photos, the better. And I'm going to show you guys actual photos of my actual building when I listed it. Okay, so I say at least 10 to 15 pictures. Okay, see, what I do is the front of the building. I also do the hallway. I do, of course, in this particular house, there is the living room, there is the dining room. There's no separating wall between the two, so they're connected. Of course, then the bedroom and, bath, kitchen, the back storage, and then, of course, the backyard. So pretty much things that they're going to have access to. It doesn't make sense to take a photo of something that they won't have access to, because that's almost like false advertising. Okay. I recommend trying to take during the day, with sunlight. That way it's nice, bright photos. These cameras, these camera phones are like bomb right now. So you guys can take really good quality photos just with your phone. Again, you're renting. So unless you know somebody that's like that you're cool with, do I think it's worth $100 investment to take like some really good photos? You can. I wouldn't knock it. Me and my wife, we invested in a really nice camera, so that's why a lot of our photos have been like really nice. And because, of course, my YouTube, I do a lot of YouTube videos, and now everything will be taken with their camera. So we spent a pretty penny on it. So, but we did that because it's an investment. And of course, it's a tax write-off. So we'll talk about taxes on a whole nother webinar. So, and of course, you want to make sure that the house is clean. All right. So now these are actual photos of my actual building at the time that we did the actual, when we took the photos, when we had everything listed. Okay. And as you can see to the left, that's the front. And then, of course, this is a screenshot. So, of course, on the actual listing, the photos are a lot bigger. But as you guys can see, we didn't stage this. This was our actual furniture. And you'll see some photos when I first did it. So the photos you guys are looking at right now is when we were listing it. This was last year. We were listing the second floor. Me and my wife and my son, we actually stayed on this second floor ourselves for 3 years. And these are photos that we took. I'm sorry, this is our actual furniture. And so it wasn't staged or anything like that, but that's why you see the setup. Okay. And as you guys can kind of get the gist of it. Everything's clean, it's nice, it's a homey feel. The candles are lit, it's warm. That paint color is called apple butter, by the way. So doesn't that sound good? But again, since I was getting ready for rent, of course, I had put some mulch outside. I'm no landscaper, so you can see I did like a horrible job. And then I put like some grass and weed killer. I'm going to say that again. I put grass and weed killer under the mulch so it wouldn't, so stuff wouldn't grow, which was smart. The problem is it was under my feet. So as you can see, like that grass was kind of brown. That's why, because it was under my feet. I was killing my own grass. So I felt so stupid. So either way, but you guys can see, nothing fancy, just take the photo, but the photos were clean, of course. Okay. Now, some people, when they take photos of the bathroom, they try not to get the toilet into the bathroom. They say when people think of toilets, it throws the room off. But it's to each his own. They're renting. Come on. Like, you can't be that serious about it. But either way, these are those photos. This is the first set. This is the second set of photos. Now, I actually talked a tenant into buying into renting this floor without me having to paint my son's room. How about that? So I'll show you guys that a little bit later. And I wasn't lazy. It was just a matter of sometimes you can talk people into it, man. It's like, hey, you want to paint it, you paint it. And of course, she's yet to paint. It's been like a year. It'll be a year, I think, in like one more month. And but she's yet to paint. She's not going to paint, just so you guys know. But then again, you have the bed, the bed there, and the stackable washer and dryer. Now you guys can see now too. You're gonna see see how the ovens are right there. See how that's a dual oven on the right side, and then on the left side there's one oven. You're like, how many ovens is it? Well, actually, right above the washer and dryer, you're gonna have the right above the washer and dryer photo. You're gonna see the photo with the dual oven. That's actually the first floor. Okay, let me take this phone off of. Let me see. Yeah, let me take this phone off of the. I want you guys to hear all that vibration. So, but the actual photo is from the first floor. So then to the right, that's the first floor. So, but because Zillow does not let you separate it, okay? I mean, you can, but at the time I was listing one, but there was one time where I was listing two. So, but either way, I always make sure that the description was there. But you guys can get the, the gist of, the amount of photos that you take, especially with the amenities and stuff like that. Okay. Then of course the yard, and because I really took pride into my yard. So, but yeah, I most definitely took photos of that. Okay. So number two, you want to talk about how to set the right amount of rent. Okay. The reason why I say be flexible is because a lot of times, I've learned that just because you put a certain rent amount on something doesn't mean you have to stick to it. Okay. The reason why I say that is because you never know what people's situation is, and they may be willing to pay more if they have certain situations, which we'll get to very shortly here. Okay. So number one, you want to look at properties nearby. Okay. The properties nearby, just like when you're buying a house, they do what they call a CMA, a comparative market analysis. And when you're doing that, also known as comps or comparables, right? Whatever you want to call it, you look at other places that are for rent, and that kind of brings us to number two. But you want to make sure that they have at least the same bed and bath combo. Okay, some places may have the same rent as you, but they're offering free heat. Don't be afraid, to put the same thing, even though the free heat is there. With my apartment complex, with my two flat, as we call it in Chicago, it's a 2-unit building. Some people call it a duplex. I was talking to one of my friends from New York. She called it a duplex. So I'm like, no one calls it a duplex in Chicago. So, but either way, but you at least want to make sure that the rooms are about the same size, the square footage. You don't have to be a mathematician. Just look at the square. Just look at what's listed online and just see what the square footage is. And that's going to give you like an idea of what to do. I'm going to show you guys some examples too. And then you also want to use Zillow or Craigslist to look at those comparables, because there's a lot of stuff on. Some people are not too fond of Craigslist. I'm a huge fan of Craigslist. It's crazy because my first set of tenants, they found me on Craigslist, and my second set of the second set of tenants, she found me on another site. It wasn't Zillow or Trulia. So and I'm going to show you guys how to list your apartments for free. Everyone has them for free now. So, but you have to do a certain amount. As long as you have a certain amount of units, then of course it'll be for free. Okay. This right here is an actual example. This is when I ran. This is just yesterday, by the way. I did a screenshot of, like when you do a search, and this was just, Chicago area. And I did the South Side because there's a lot of 2 flats on the South Side of Chicago. And my building is actually in this area. So I'm not going to tell you guys where it's at, of course. And of course, I don't want people bothering my tenants. So, but yeah, you guys can see an idea. And if you look here, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. I'm going to move my mouse here. So let me see if I can do like a little, oh, cool. So I'll do a laser pointer. Cool. All right. So right here, you see where I put, of course, Chicago. I then put for rent. I put the amount, this is monthly. So this is $750 a month to $1,200 a month, because I didn't know if I was too high and I didn't know if I was too low. So this is the amount that I kind of figured for myself. And then I just put 0 beds. Okay. I just did this so I can at least show you guys some examples, because once you start taking this number up, of course, then more results start to disappear. Okay. And at home type, I did apartment because some people, you can have all this for rent and all that, but then some people don't uncheck homes. And you'll be looking at homes for rent, and that'll throw things completely off. Now, technically, a two flat is technically a home. But since they're sharing the space, I would rather a person mentally prepare themselves for an apartment than for me to say it's a house and then they get there and now they're upset. So that's just my own personal opinion. Okay. Either way, this kind of gives you like an idea. And as you start clicking on some of these, you'll start, getting more in the descriptions. And that's where you start looking at the square footage and things of that sort and say, okay. And you don't have to get mad at their price. You just kind of get it because I'm telling you, that's what everyone's doing. Now, there are some people that don't do that. They just keep the rent, whatever. But listen, taxes go up. So taxes go up and a whole bunch of other things go up. And, so you just want to make sure that you're able to see everything. Okay. So that's what I recommend. All right. So number 3, why should they move in your building? Okay. The reason why I say that is because you have to give people an incentive as to why they should move in. Just because you have an apartment, don't get me wrong. Just because you have an apartment, if a person's looking for a place to stay, I'm sure they'll find you. The problem is that the competition is too steep, and I'm impatient. I'm very impatient, like on certain things. Okay. Which, by the way, just as a reminder, if you guys have any questions, you guys can. I have the chat to my left, so you guys can always just shoot the chat. Now, I only see can anyone just put like something so I can see that. Because I only see my stuff. I just want to make sure that I can see everybody's like questions. If one person just say like, just put a period or something. So either way. All right. So we talked about now, what are your incentives, okay, for moving into your building? For example, you guys are going to see a description that I'm going to show very shortly here. When I have my apartment listed, it was a winter time. So a lot of people talk about, it's difficult to have people move in during the winter time. Okay. And I said to myself, okay, I'm just going to put on the description Christmas special. And I did half off first month's rent or half off security deposit or, so something like that. That was the first go round. With my second tenant, when we moved out, this was last year, of course, it wasn't Christmas time, but I put on there move in special, and I put like, a $400 move-in fee or something. I can't remember actually, but you guys will see it shortly. And but I put that. The reason why I put that is because are you going to discuss the benefits of offering a move-in fee versus a deposit? Absolutely. Matter of fact, we're about to do that right now. So, but I'm going to wrap up the incentives. So, but you want to give people a reason to move, to your apartment complex. I've also seen people offer free moving services or like a free U-Haul van. I mean, if you think about it, a U-Haul costs like maybe $100. So, I mean, to pay $100 to get maybe, an instant tenant, I mean, that's bomb, so I mean, again, but you got to, of course, have the reserves to do something like that or have the money to do something like that. But I think that that's pretty cool. Okay. So number 2, and this is going to answer Diamond's question, move-in fee versus security deposit. I've actually done both. With my first set of tenants, I did a security deposit, and now there's different ways to do a security deposit. I'm very simple, so I like keeping things simple. I've been as a renter myself. I remember looking for apartments, and they would say things like, "Oh, the security deposit is first month's rent and last month's rent." So if your rent is, let's say, $1,000, you got to come to the table with $2,000. And then in 30 days, guess what? You now have to come to the table with another $1,000. So a lot of people financially may not necessarily be able to make that move. Okay. So I said, okay, I'm just going to make it real simple. I'll just say a security deposit of $1,000. Okay. And first month's rent. So now I broke it down so it's all about the breakdown because some people are confused. Some people say, well, I gave you first month's rent and last month's rent, so why should I have to pay rent twice? And so there's a lot of confusion in things like that. So now the security deposit, the pros and cons. The pro of a security deposit is that, of course, you have money stashed away, which, by the way, in the state of Illinois, you are supposed to put it in an interest-bearing savings account. I'm going to say that again. In Illinois, you're supposed to put it in an interest-bearing savings account. Okay. And when that person moves out, of course, they're supposed to get the security deposit and, of course, the interest that it grew. So a lot of people don't know that. I'm going to get like a lot of people in trouble too. Say, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, your landlord's supposed to do that too. But a lot of times, though, as a landlord, I mean, I was a landlord like for 3 years and I had no idea. Well, I'm sorry, like 2 years, and I had no idea. My tenants don't even know. And again, we're talking, first off, savings account is not going to give that. We're talking pennies on the dollar. So it's honestly, it's not that big of a deal. No one's going to kill you for like $4 or $5. So, I mean, because these savings accounts are not giving that much of interest. Because what they're doing is what a lot of people would do. They will take people's money and they will put it in like a certificate of deposit, which gives like a slightly higher interest rate. And they knew they weren't going to touch it, you know. So, but again, you have to be in a financial position to do something like that. But then now you're playing with somebody else's money. Anything can happen, and you may need to get that money out of there. So I don't recommend it, but it's your call. Okay. So now, of course, that's the pro, is that you get the money up front. And of course, if things happen, and that's what happened. Actually, my tenants, I'm giving you guys real stories. My tenants, when they moved in, they broke the plastic. Like it was like it's a screen. It's like a plastic screen on the back door. They broke that screen door, and I'm talking, it was like, I was okay, it's not that big of a deal. But I told them I was going to take, $100 out of their security deposit. And I screenshot the text. I sent it to him. Everybody was fine, right? And I never took out the actual deposit. That's still there, of course, by the way. But I still have the screenshot just in case, things get a little funky when they try to move out. You know how things can go. So I decided to go that route. Okay. And now the cons are, it could be a lot of back and forth when, like, for example, if a person stays there for like my tenants, they've been there for now 3 years. Now, the paint's going to need to be repainted. So I'm not going to be difficult with them on, getting things painted. I'm just going to be real. Okay. Because as a landlord, there's what they call normal depreciation based on, normal wear and tear, which of course also plays a role in depreciation. So, but after a while, like even if you were to keep their security deposit because the place needs to be repainted, not like new drywall. I'm not talking about like damage. I'm talking about just paint, and that wouldn't stand up in the court. Just so you know, because even like carpet, hardwood floors, there has to be like damage. Okay, even like so another thing too is that you have to decide, is it going to be worth taking somebody to court over something so simple? Okay, so that's up to you. Okay, the second tenant, I decided to go move-in fee. Okay. I went a move-in fee because I made it non-refundable. Okay. And the reason why I made it non-refundable is because now I don't have to worry about giving something away. And I made the amount smaller. I actually learned this from my friend who's also a landlord as well. And I said, man, I did $1,000 security deposit when I first tenant. He's like, man, I did the move-in fee, but I charged less. But people like giving the move-in fee because it's less upfront money. And I did that. And of course, I probably got maybe 1 or 2 more phone calls a day. Once you guys see my description, you guys are going to see why. And by the way, all of you that, of course, obviously you're here. So there's a link that you guys can go to, the forms link. Okay. And that you guys got access to all the forms. And but there's a photo in there of my actual description on that page as well. Okay. So but honestly, I don't know. It's really up to you guys which route you want to go. But I think I like move-in fee better. Because it's a faster process, honestly. You get to keep the money, it's money up front. If they mess something up, I got reserves anyway, and I'll get to what reserves are, but it's really up to you guys. But honestly, I think I'm leaning more towards a move-in fee because, again, the quicker you get a tenant in there, the quicker you can cover that mortgage or whatever you're trying to accomplish. Some people are just trying to put something towards the mortgage. Some people are trying to cover the entire mortgage. Some people are trying to, profit right off the back, so, that's doable. All that stuff is doable. So it's really up to you. And I'm not saying people don't have it, everybody has it, but it's most definitely up to you, once it comes, at the end of the day. Okay. So, of course, refundable or non-refundable, that's really up to you. Legally, a security deposit has to be refundable, hence the word security. Okay. And of course, deposit, because you just, you got to give it back to them. And now there's also, there's laws against a certain amount of security deposit. And now, just so you guys know, I'm gonna just touch on this a little bit. If a person's score is like, it's really up to you guys, what you guys want to consider a low score. But I'm talking like, if they're like in the 300s or the 400s, I'll have my advertised security deposit which you know they have, obviously, because when they're coming to see the place. And I will say, hey, listen, your score is a little bit lower than what I was what I was hoping to rent to. But I can be more flexible and do a non-refundable $200 and a security deposit of $1,000. So you're looking for ways to pick up money. You're not taking advantage of people, and everything's legal. This is your business, by the way. This is legal. So in Illinois it is, and because you're taking that risk. And there are fair housing laws, though. Like you can't discriminate because of my first year. And I'm just gonna be transparent with you guys. My first year, I put in there. It's tough because everyone has their own opinion about government housing, like Section 8 and such. Some people love it because it's guaranteed income, and some people, like myself, it's not that I'm against it, in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I have different types of morals and things of that sort, but that has nothing to do with it. But my thing is that just based on what I've seen from my friends who have Section 8 tenants, and it's not everybody, but usually when you're talking about a younger category of people, you can't discriminate, and legally you're not even supposed to discriminate against it. You cannot say no Section 8 allowed. I had no idea you couldn't say that, and I wasn't trying to make people feel bad. I was just saying, hey, this building is just not for that. And but I'll show you guys, if you're interested, how to say it with it still being lawful. Okay. And and again, this has nothing to do with race or nothing like that. I don't, as a landlord, this is a business. I don't have time to keep replacing things. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people are keep things really nice, keep things clean, keep things nice, whatever. My thing is that just based on what I've seen in my experience is that a lot of times things are not cared for. I have a friend of mine who's a landlord, and I'm talking the girl. She had a boyfriend over. He said no smoking in the building. Not only were they smoking in the building, of course they were smoking. What you think they were smoking? Okay, and but that plays a role, And so now you got that stuff in the walls, and now he's trying to go to sleep at night. They got the back, so here he is smoking in the bathroom, the boyfriend, and now that smell comes up into the next house, and I got another issue. Now I'm not saying Section 8 is not going to fix that type of issue in the sense that you can't. The Section 8 is going to keep that from happening, But now because anybody can have a boyfriend doing something like that. My point is that it's more so the damage that that's done. But again, this is you guys' own perspective. I have nothing against people. I have to run a business, and some people like the guaranteed rent. To me, I mean, Either way, I'll let you guys decide on that. So, of course, be sure to check your state landlord and tenant laws. Credit score minimums. I didn't necessarily have a credit score minimum. I think I put in my description the second go round that I was flexible on credit. Here, because I help people with credit, I know that you just can't go by a score. A lot of people, the problem is that people associate a low score with people being bad people. It really sucks. And so, and people get a bad rap because of that, and that really sucks. And so I was looking ideally for someone. I didn't really care about score. I could care less about a score. I was even okay with a previous eviction. I was okay with something like that. Okay. So, I mean, just so you guys have that idea. Okay. Either way, then I did an income minimum. Now legally, in the state of Illinois, they don't like when you post a minimum income because people have different sources of income. But legally, as a landlord, you have to make sure that the person is financially capable of handling the rent. So I think that it's more of they don't want you to have it out there listed like that. Like, hey, I'm only renting people that make $40,000 a year or $30,000 a year, whatever. And you really can't do that. But you guys just kind of just do the math. And I'll show you guys how to do that a little bit later. Then I also stole ideas from other listings because some people gave away a lot of stuff. Some people give away free Wi-Fi, and some people give away free heat. That's really popular in Chicago, free heat. And of course, the water's free, but you'd be surprised. Some people that have like washers and dryers, they're like, listen, that water bill ain't free. Y'all get it, y'all split it. So the light, pets, laundry, security cams with login access. So just little things like that. Okay. Now to the left, real quick, you do not want to put for rent signs outside the yard. It draws too much attention. Okay. That's my own personal opinion. You guys can do it if you want to. The reason why I say, it draws too much attention, that lets people know that either an apartment is vacant or it's about to become vacant. And the last thing you want to know is let people know that it's all that place is going to be empty because you got appliances in there that people can come in and come get. And nobody likes buying appliances twice. But that's up to you. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Now to the right, this is a screenshot. Let me move this. I just noticed that this may be in the way. So this is a screenshot of like the top places that you can rent to. I mean, that you can have, that you have your places listed. And there's no certain order. I just Googled it. So I kind of don't like this order. Honestly, Zillow should be number one in my own personal opinion. Okay, that would be Zillow. Then I like, of course, Trulia. I think that should be number two, which, by the way, they're owned by the same. They're owned together. Like they're brother and sister, or more so. Like Zillow is bigger than Trulia, honestly, but they're owned by the same company. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, now they are. They didn't used to be, but now they are. Okay. Then number three, of course, you got apartments.com. Domo can actually stay at the bottom. I've never used it. I've never had a lead from it. I've never used it. But this one is really low key, super low key, and that's Rent Links. If you notice the back end of the URL, which is the website here, see where it says post rental. See what that says, post rental. You know why it says that? Because Zillow owns Trulia and Rent Links. So you guys should know that. So, but what's so cool about it is that Rent Links, when it was a separate company, it owns a company called hotpads.com. It owns a list of very, very small, like it says right here, we'll advertise it on dozens of websites. Post your rental here, post your apartment or rental house, and we'll advertise it on dozens of websites. They're not lying, and it's free. And, you can have it on a lot of different small websites, and it's so bomb. All you have to do, so I recommend putting it, once you put it on, just so you know, once you put it on Zillow, it automatically goes to Trulia. Now they have it where it segues into Craigslist. Okay. So now Rent Links, you have to go to the separate site and then do it. Okay. But you most definitely want to do Rent Links for sure. Because a lot of people don't know about it, but I'm telling you, it is bomb. Okay. So just so you guys can know that. All right. So next one here, which by the way, you guys have access to the replay. This is a new platform for me. So I don't know how to get you guys access to it, but I'll make sure you guys get access to it. Number four, listing on Craigslist. Okay. Same thing. The thing about it is that some people feel that just because it's Craigslist, it should be treated like a slightly different value. No, you should still put a lot of photos on there. Listen, you guys are competing for tenants. You want good tenants. Okay. And which, by the way, going to credit scores, let me break down to you guys. Well, I think you know what, I actually go into that a little bit later on the perfect tenant that you guys want to look for. Okay. So listing on Craigslist, of course, you want to copy the description from Zillow. Keep in mind, Craigslist apartment leads tend to have lower credit scores and normally a lower income. Okay. That's not all the time, but that's what I've seen. Listen, I'm a straightforward kind of guy. I don't have time to go back and forth about what people think is right or wrong. You can research this stuff yourself. So I'm not trying to say I know it all. I know I don't. But my thing is that this stuff plays a role. This is a business. So you need to know that people are on different platforms, just like social media. Some people like Instagram over Twitter. Some people like Twitter over Facebook. Some people like Facebook over, so it's a lot of different platforms. The same thing when you're doing renting. You can't just put your place in one spot. You're going to get like a couple phone calls, but if you got your stuff everywhere, I was averaging 5 or 6 phone calls a day, especially when it expired, not really expires, but it kind of like gets old and you can refresh it like every 3 or 4 days or every week or something like that. Okay. So don't forget, guys, the chat is available. I got it right here to my left. So please ask any questions, comments, or concerns. All right. So same amount of photos, treat it like Zillow. And like I said, you cannot say Section 8 not accepted. But what I said was, and again, this is not for everybody. Now, the reason why you're probably like, okay, Calvin, what if I just decide to put nothing about Section 8? I don't even want to mention it. And I'm not saying that you guys are for it or against it. Here's what's going to happen. If you do not put, this is what I put at this second part right here, where it says, I said building does not qualify for Section 8. Buildings must qualify and pass inspection. So a lot of people don't know that even if you were interested in Section 8, the building must qualify for Section 8. they're going to send out an inspector, and they do an inspection. They make sure that, they look for, to see if, electrical outlets are too close to the sink, and they're making sure things are up to code. Okay. Now, here's the problem. If the building is not up to date like they want it to be, the problem is that they're not going to grant you, everything you need. So, and you'll actually fail it. So what some people do, they actually fail it on purpose. That way they can give a list, because I forgot this one guy, he told me something, but he was like, hey, listen, I do Section 8 all the time. You want to fail the first test. He says everybody fails the first inspection, and then they get someone else out there and they do the inspection again. So either way, I just said that, the building doesn't qualify for Section 8 because it hasn't had its inspection. So what that does is it says if a person's looking for a Section 8, then they say, okay, all right. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I'm not discriminatory against anything like that. My thing is that, it's not the system. It's more so the people that stay in the actual buildings. And, sometimes things just don't come out a certain way. And it's not all the time. Don't get me wrong. But I've seen it where it's just to me, I don't want to take the risk. So if I do decide to do it one day, the whole building will be like that or whatever. But on another standpoint, it's just, it's up to you guys though. So but either way, so you guys can do it that way if you want to. Okay. Number 5. All right. Let's see here. Now, the pre-interview phone calls, as people start blowing up your line. Now, I do recommend, I forgot to put this in here, but you want to get Sideline. Like, if there's an app called Sideline, and it lets you get a second phone number, and it attaches to your number. I'll always put that on, like when I'm selling stuff on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. That way people not blowing up my real cell. And but it's pretty cool though, because that's the number I put for the listings. I didn't put my real cell phone. I put the Sideline number. But there's a lot of different apps out there that give you a second number. Actually, Google Voice will give you a second number for free. So a lot of people don't know that. It's called Google Voice, and it's free. I already had that for some other stuff, so I didn't want to get anything confused. So I'd use Sideline. Now, Sideline will let you text and talk. Google Voice will too, so, but I mean, it's up to you guys if you know how much, stuff you want to have connected to Google. So, I mean, they run the world at this point. So, but yeah, I recommend using a second number. It's up to you, because that way, if things go left with the potential tenant, you can just shut the number down, and then they never got access to you again. But if they got your sale, it's a wrap. So, and I'm not saying that's never happened to me before, but actually it's a close to situation. Almost happened like that, but again, it wasn't a big deal. It took care of that. So, but during the over the phone interview calls, this is where you're pretty much finding out who these people are and are they worth your time before they come see the property. Okay. So you want to ask about check stubs as an income. How soon are you looking to move? Previous evictions, do you have them? How many people will be moving into the building? If all goes well, how soon can you leave a deposit to hold the building? This is key. A lot of people don't do this. I actually learned this in the car business. When people, they taught us when you're selling cars, if there's somebody who wants to buy a car and they say they want to think about it, you want to try to see if you can get a deposit out of them. That's, of course, refundable. But that way they can have some type of commitment, some skin in the game. Okay. And that plays a role. So, and this is not to say that people will back out, but a lot of times people will say, well, you know what? I really want this apartment and I'm ready to move in. I know that I'm going to know that you're going to like the application. And, so what we would do is I would do a non-refundable. You can do refundable too if you want to. The first time I did refundable, the second time I did non-refundable, but everything worked out on both sides. And it was more so while I was waiting for the background checks and stuff to get back. And that way you could put them in the front of the line. Because a lot of times people ask you, how many people have you talked to about this, or how many applicants do you have? And you'll lose applicants like that over the phone. But I'll say, hey, I got a couple of people that's interested, but I do offer, a deposit if you're interested, and it can be refundable or non-refundable. That's up to you guys. And that shows commitment, guys. So, we got a couple questions. All right. So can you share sites we can use to do accurate credit checks? And do you charge for those credit checks? I'm glad. That's a great question, actually. So number one, I will show you guys a site that I use. And number two, I myself, I don't run credit, but what I'm starting to see a lot of people do, I'm starting to see a lot of landlords just tell people to open up a Credit Karma account, and they just have them print their credit report. Now, a lot of times, though, here's the catch. A lot of evictions never make it to the credit report. So if you're really interested on the evictions, that's on LexisNexis. which you guys will see a little bit in shortly, okay? But a consumer doesn't have access to LexisNexis because it's software, but the software is in a part of another, other softwares. So I'll get to that in a little bit, okay? Let them know it's non-refundable once they arrive and attempt to give it to you. That's just what I did. And can you stop by and see the building today or tomorrow? Always push for an ASAP time. And guys, I'm telling you, I will talk to a person on Monday. They will see it Monday. Or better yet, I will talk to a person in the morning, and they will see it in the morning, or they'll see it in the afternoon. I would take my lunch and go meet people and, at the property, things of that sort after I've done my pre-interview phone calls. Okay. But that's why, I'll go over everything about the check stub. Make sure you bring, a check stub and things of that sort so that we can verify income. Now, people because here's the deal. A lot of people, they're going to be making fake check stubs, all type of stuff, man. I'm telling you. So just be prepared. Okay. Number 6, it says, if you, and Diamond, I don't know if you can finish that. There's a question coming, but I don't think it got done. So I'll go ahead and respond. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So Diamond says, if you're afraid of people manipulating their forms from Credit Karma, is it legal to ask them for their login info? You could do that. Anything is consent, so I don't see a person getting mad at you asking them, hey, for their login information. I mean, think about it. That's exactly how I run my business. And now that I think about it, on my contract, it's not even on there where it says, hey, I gave him, whatever. But I mean, I always put in text that I asked for it, so, or sometimes I say it on the phone. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, that's such a great question because people can go home and manipulate type of things, to save money. And I'm going to show you guys the software that I use. Now, the software does charge you. I'm going to show you guys why people charge an application fee, because they're paying for the software as well. Now, things that you won't have access to is to a background check. And I'm going to show you guys my stuff that I use. And if you guys are curious, you can look at your own credit report, look at your inquiries, and you'll see where, say, a lot of them are Safe Rents, Co-Rent, a lot of different, it's so many platforms out there, but I'm going to show you guys what I use. Okay. So let's see here. All right. So the actual walkthrough and application, you want to point out the amenities, other place, you want to collect the application fee for each person above, that's 18 and above. Okay. I said above 18, but 18 and above. Okay. Moving into the building. I don't care if it's their kid. I don't care if he's on a full ride scholarship. Listen, I need to know who is in this building, because when or if things go left, you need to make sure that you know who's in the building. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with people that's like, if they're single, you do know they're not going to be single all the time. I actually don't care if someone has like a family member, staying every now and then, but they're not on the lease. I'm not that big of a, I'm not that big of a prick when it comes to something like that. So at the same time, I just want the rent to get paid on time. But at least at the initial conversation, I want to know everything up front, because of course, single guys are going to have women over. Single women are going to have guys over. It's normal. It's natural. Okay. But if you're talking about some stuff from jump, oh yeah, I need to know who this person is, because of course, sometimes things are just temporary, so but either way, you still want to, now I charge for my application fee. I charge like $25 a person, that's 18 years or over. Most of the time it was couples. So you're talking, it was like $50, which is standard. But wait you see how much this stuff costs on the landlord side. And really they just use that for like gas, just in case a person is not serious and they collect the money anyway. So, I mean, there's some people that's out here shiesty. So, all right. So either way, collection, let's see here. And sorry, Diamond, I didn't want to, I just looked at that. It came out kind of rude, or it says like, if you ... Oh, I didn't want to make it. I just want to make sure, it didn't go through all the way. So do apologize, but don't worry. I'm going to be showing you guys that very shortly. Okay. Try to give them a date of probable completion for a screening application. So I always tell my clients, hey, of course, thanks for stopping by the property. I should have an answer for you in about 48 hours. That way, otherwise, guess what? They'll be blowing your phone up and all the rest of this stuff. Okay. So you just want to make sure that you know that you're on top of it. And again, while you have those applications, other people are going to be trying to see the property too. So, I mean, if you think you got a good person just by like the vibe and all the rest of that, I mean, you can just lock it down, so just move on. But it's up to you. Okay. Try to give, I said that already. Pay attention to timely arrival and questions that they ask. Okay. If a person is late when they pull up, like, 15 minutes late, they obviously don't care about your time from day one. And they obviously don't care about paying rent on time. I will be honest. The person, one of my tenants, she was late like the first month, but she was also late at the at the walkthrough. So I mean, I'm not saying it's going to always be the case. People sometimes get caught up in traffic or an accident or whatever's on the expressway or whatever. But at the same time, just look for little things like that, because again, this person's going to be in your building, especially if you're going to be staying in the building. So you really got to know who these people are. Okay. Also, you want to call the previous landlord acting like a tenant to find out if they're real. I'm going to show you guys that this is key. This is key. Get ready. On the app, on my tenant application, I have a spot on there where it says previous landlord name and previous landlord phone number. Now, people will think that they're 2 steps ahead of you. Okay. And what they're going to do is they're going to put, let's say, their cousin down. Let's say his name is Ronnie. And, they put their cousin Ronnie down, and they said that's a previous landlord. Now, let's just say in real life, they did not stay with Ronnie in any way, shape, or form. He was not their previous landlord. He is just a cousin that they kick it with. Okay. And Ronnie's going to be ready for the phone call so he can act like he's a landlord. Okay. So what you need to do is you call Ronnie, but you don't say that you're, Calvin, the landlord, getting, some information for Ashley. You want to be Calvin, the tenant, looking to see if they have any more apartment any more apartment spaces available. And I caught someone up like that. I say, hey, this is Calvin asking for such and such. I'm sorry, this is Calvin. And I was, looking to see if you had any apartment spaces available. No, you got the wrong number, man. I said, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I, saw your number, for apartment listings. I said, no, man, I know what you're talking about. And sure enough, I looked at the number, everything else. That person was waiting. And I'm talking an hour later, I get a text back from the girl. And she says, hey, did you get a chance to, look over my application and stuff? So, and of course, I just let her know. I let her know gently. I didn't want to be like, again, a bad guy about it. And plus, I don't like drama. I don't do drama. My wife will tell you I'm drama free. Okay. So I just let her know right away. I was like, hey, we ended up going with another prospect. Thank you so much for your interest, okay? Because I don't want to go with the whole, girl, that was your cousin, this. I'm not going to do all that. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, some people like the drama, so you guys can have that. So, but the reason why, again, you want to do that to find out if these landlords are real. And also, now that's only happened one time, but every previous landlord I've called and played like I was a tenant, they was like, oh my, because I'll go through the whole spiel. Hey, do you have any apartment spaces available? Yeah, I got some apartment spaces. What are you looking for? I'm looking for a 2-bedroom. This says, okay, cool. And just keep asking questions. And, just say, okay, well, I saw that you had it online, and you don't have to say a site or whatever. I saw you had it online, for X amount of dollars, whatever. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Can I come see it, sometime like this week or whatever? He said, yeah, okay, cool. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna be honest with you. My name's Calvin, and I'm actually a landlord like yourself. But a previous tenant had you down as a previous landlord. And every time I broke it down to them like that, of course, they were never mad. But there's oh my God, man, I never would have used that before. That is so smart. And so people were like excited about this. Like, I'm telling you, because it's a smart way to do it. Otherwise, you'll get got. Okay. Moving on. Number 7, screen. There are free ways to do it. Now, what I've been seeing lately is that, you want to have them bring their Credit Karma reports. But just like Diamond said, listen, some of these people, listen, they'll manipulate the system. So you want to be careful with stuff like that, okay? And, you want to make sure that, you can get, like, their login info. Because, again, they can always change their password. It's not that big of a deal, So they can send you, like, a PDF of it, too, So if they're handy with the computer, so there's multiple ways to do it is my point, okay? Now, only reported evictions show up on credit reports. A lot of times evictions don't show up always on credit reports. And don't be difficult with these people. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys why. Well, I'm just going to give you guys a quick hint. I tell this to all my potential landlord friends and potential landlord clients. You want to get people that don't have the best credit. Here's why. Even though they've been late on other things, here's the deal. There's no crystal ball to tell if anybody, and I do mean anybody's going to be late. Okay. But of course, you want to keep that from happening as least as amount as possible. And I'll show you guys how to do that very shortly. But I like people that don't have the best credit, because it's not that they're desperate, but they're more flexible. And I, of course, you say, hey, listen, the security deposit is 1,000, but your score is a little bit lower than what I was anticipating for tenants. But I think we could work something out. We could do like, an additional $200 security deposit that's non-refundable. I mean, it's not security deposit, like a $200 moving fee that's non-refundable. And listen, they know their situation. They're crossing their fingers, hoping that they can move in with you. But again, sometimes you get a good vibe, and you can't just go by the score. I mean, I go by the income, because when I did that to my first set of tenants, one of them is making 40 a year, and the other one's making like 30 a year. So combined, that's 70,000. So I was like, I'm not going to let these people go. And they were over 40. I mean, this was like perfect. But the score wasn't it wasn't the best. So little things like that play a role. Okay. And then of course, number 7. I'm sorry, at the bottom, most screening software shows the same evictions on credit reports and screening reports as well. So what I mean by that is you may pay for to see somebody's report when they can just show you, Credit Karma. But a lot of times they'll say, hey, do you want to see eviction reports versus because most evictions are going to show on the credit report, but there are some times where it just doesn't. Okay. And you just can't go by evictions either. Sometimes people have a general explanation. I actually have a family member that stayed with she stayed with 3 other women. So it was 4 of them total. And one of them just jetted out. Okay. And, and so of course she stuck them with the bill. The landlord let them pay all 3 of their separate portions, but the 4th person they sent to collections. Tell me why all 4 of them had their stuff in collections, even though it was her amount. So it looked like an eviction. And so I'm telling you, so sometimes things do have a story behind it. And that's a true story. Moving on. Now, this is what I use. You guys can look it up. It's called CoreLogic My Rental. Or so if you guys look up, or you guys can just type in, tenant screening software, everything's going to come up. And now some stuff, they want to do a background check on you before they even give you access to their software. But the cheaper platforms like this, they're not going to be that difficult. They figure all they need is like a written consent form. And so what they'll do now, they're like super high tech. So which is pretty cool because I've seen them grow. What they do is they ask for the email of the person and they'll send them a consent form, and it's free. And just say, hey, I authorize, Calvin to do a background check and look at my credit report. And then once they do that, they then give you access to it. Now, as you guys can see here, I put, a red circle. Vladimir, you're welcome, man. But yeah, so I put a red circle here because don't get caught up in over this stuff. You'll pay. Now, here's the deal. Most people charge about $20 to $30 for an application fee. This is why they do that. So they can pick up some cash on top of this. Okay. But you see here, it's $20. It says basic. It gives you eviction history, previous address history, which, by the way, this is going to be on their credit report anyway. So you see right here, credit reports, this is going to be on there anyway. Terrorist alert, are you serious? Then, of course, multi-state criminal, multi-state sex offender. This is good to know. Listen, you'll be able to tell if a person got a background. Just on the pull-up, So, just, again, pay attention to the questions that they ask. But if you're not sure, you can always go with this. I'm not saying that you don't do it. You may not necessarily be trying to make money off of it. You can easily still charge, $25. If there's 2 people trying to move in and you go with the basic right here, because that's what all you're interested in is the eviction history. The credit report is just if you go with Credit Karma, and there's an eviction on the credit report, then you just saved a lot of money and you get to pocket that whole 25. Okay. But at the same time, eviction history is probably what you're most interested in because a lot of people don't know how to read credit reports anyway. So you got to be, almost kind of savvy. Okay. So that's why I circled this, because the eviction history by itself is $8. And then of course the credit report by itself, is there too. But if you're going to do now, because that's a better bang for your dollar. Okay. Instead of just going with this, because again, if you get the credit report, you're going to get this anyway. Now these over here, it's really up to you. But as long as you do that, and of course you go from there. Okay. So, but it's really, again, up to you guys. But the credit report is going to show you their job and things of that sort. And most people that have a heavy background, it's going to be difficult for them to get a job anyway. And I'm not saying that's the case because I'm always going to help people out. But at the same time, I said it to say that you'll be able to see a lot of stuff in their credit report. So it's up to you. There's a lot of products out there. I'm not saying one's better than the other. But I like this because, again, everything's straightforward, is clean. So, but you guys can use whatever you want to. Okay. Number 8, I know it, man, we're at 9:52 already. Hope I appreciate you guys for sticking around with me. Okay. So let's see. Number one, you want to, okay, this is the best tenant. Okay. This is my personal opinion. Where rent is 30%, 30 to 40% of their take home income. And you'll be able to see that from the check stub. So for example, just multiply, let's say 40% times, let's say if they bring home, and I'm talking about take home, not before taxes, because before taxes is money they can't control. But if they bring home, let's say $1,000 every 2 weeks, that's $2,000 a month. And then 40% of that would be whatever the number is. I don't know. Half of that would be what, 1,000. So 40% would be what, 800. So that kind of gives you like an idea. I'm okay. I'm actually okay with like, somewhere between 700-800 if they're bringing in, $2,000. Living expense is always going to be the largest expense. Another thing too, just so you guys know, mortgage companies go up to 43%. That's around standard. But some mortgage companies go up to 47%. Some go 50% of your, and they go by gross. So that's about before taxes, and they go 50%. That's insane. That risk is too high for me. Okay. But again, I always try to go with somebody. Now, legally, you can't put minimum incomes, in descriptions. I mean, some states, every state is going to be different, but I mean, at the same time, are people going to snitch on you? I mean, as long as you're not saying nothing like, you being reckless. Like, I don't want no handicapped people. I don't want no black people. If you got kids and they under 5, I don't want them. That's different. That's completely different. Okay. So, but again, you want to say things that make sense. Number 2, credit score under 600. Again, usually if the score is higher, they're going to start considering home ownership on you. I'm telling you, just like you guys are doing. I mean, think about it. I'm not saying that everyone on here is paying rent, but for those of you who are paying rent, I mean, think about it. You guys are already in the motion of thinking about, buying a home. And of course, no one's going to rent forever. But again, if you I try to stick with people that got credit issues, man. I'm telling you, because they're going to stick around for a while. All right. People that's like 620, 640, they don't pay everybody on time. You'll get your rent on time. Don't worry. I'll show you the benefits of late rent too. But either way, you'll get your rent on time, but it may be for 1 year. So I'm trying to get some longevity. Okay. Number 3, a lower score equals a higher deposit, higher rent, non-refundable security deposit. Think about it. When you guys get come on. For those of you who had not the best credit at some point in your life, think about the interest rate you paid on your car. Think about how you was trying to get furniture and then they all of a sudden gave you another application to fill out because you didn't get approved. The banks charge a higher interest rate based on credit. So if they can do it, why can't you? You can do the same thing. You're taking risk. Okay. The bank has collateral. You ain't got no collateral. You got to go through a lot to put a person out. Okay. So just things that you kind of just keep in mind. Number 4, in relationship with a working partner, meaning that people are working both together. And, of course, if you got 2 people, of course, you want, preferably they got 2 jobs, but people that's like in a relationship, especially that moving in together, that makes it a little bit easier to maintain the rent. I'm not saying that one person can handle it, because I had my tenant on the first floor, she's by herself. And, but then, I knew that eventually, because family's going to be coming over. I mean, sometimes lifestyle changes, but again, as long as rent's paid on time, I don't really care. Okay. So that's just me though. And number 5, older couple, there's a less chance of noise. So I'm not saying that, you can define, what's older. I'm not saying that I don't, rent to young people. My tenant on the second floor, she's a lot younger. So I mean, again, I'm just going to give you guys, an idea of like, the best tenant to have. Okay. Number 9, this is what I call tenant keepers. Okay. And these are like random surprises. So every Christmas, I get them $100 off rent. What's so crazy is that every damn January, they're late on their rent. So it's crazy. I gave you $100 less the previous month, yet you're late in January. So, but it is what it is, man, because I'm going to show you, because my late fee is now you got to look at your own state laws. My late fee is $15 a day. Okay. So I got a question here. Can you put tenant restrictions in a lease, such as if it's a 2-unit maximum, 2 adults, 2 kids? There are actually state laws that already have those in place. I don't think that you can go any lower than what the state requires, because then it's like, I mean, it's really up to you. I don't see why you couldn't, but I mean, again, you'll know on the pull up if it's like, oh yeah, it's just me and my husband moving in, or it's just, hey, it's just me and my girlfriend moving in, and then 4 kids get out the car. So I'm not saying that I'm against it, but I mean, listen, again, if you want to take the risk, just, hey, have them pay more money, So, but again, because I'm telling you, you're gonna be using them reserves for sure. Okay. So, but I honestly don't think so. So I'm gonna start putting my answers in towards the end. I'm gonna start putting my answers in the chat. That way you guys can have like a written version of it. But I'll go back to it a little bit later. Okay. So, yeah. So I get them Christmas rent discounts, like $100 off rent. Lease renewal rent discounts for the following month. So like if their lease is up in July, and we talk about hey, are you going to stick around for for August? And I'll give them like $100 off for August, like $200 off for August, and they'll stick around because they're like, man, this car note coming up, that'd be real nice. So I'm telling you guys, got to think long term. Okay, so leave cleaning supplies at the door. I have hardwood floors at my other building. And like that Murray's wood soap is like the bomb, on the floor. And because if you mop a hardwood floor, normally it's gonna feel sticky and gritty, okay, because it's wood. But if you do the wood soap, oh my God, it stays. It's a nice little sparkle. It feels like it feels a certain way under your sock, under your feet, So, and again, it was more, and it wasn't like a jab, I wasn't trying to throw shade on them, saying like, hey, I know you ain't cleaned up this floor, here's some soap. No, because I mean, I'll leave like a note on there saying, hey, you know what, thanks for paying rent, in a timely fashion. Here's a gift, that type of thing. And really it's like hey, you gonna mop the floor anyway. Come on, let's be real. You're gonna mop the floor anyway. So let's go ahead and use some good stuff. And there's little things like that. In my hallway, I have, of course, a little fragrance that, little blade thing that sprays out. Which is crazy because I actually was supposed to replace it, and I've been over like a few times. I forgot to replace it. So, you also want to. I left like a box of light bulbs at the door, which is pretty cool. You would clean off their car, especially like when it's snow outside. That's if you're out there. Like as a landlord, when I was staying in the building, I would get up early and I would go ahead and start shoveling the snow, and I would, of course, turn my wife's car on, warm it up, and then knock off her windshield. I felt like, what, I'll just be nice. And of course, I'll take the snow off their car because I knew that she would get, ready for work around about that same time. So it's so cool when she came outside and she's like, oh, my God, thank you so much. And little things like that would keep your rent being paid on time. So also, too, I do insect inspection visits every quarter. I use Terminix. You guys use whoever you want to use. You can say there's Orkin, there's Terminix. There's a lot of mom and pop places out here. But I use Terminix. And they charge every quarter. And just to keep, I like to keep stuff out. Ants, roaches, mice, bugs, fly. I want everything out. Okay. I'm telling you, because some people, you don't know how people live, or you don't know where they come from. They may have roaches in their pockets and they get to your building and they laying eggs. So you're like, oh my God, where these roaches come from? I'm telling you, you'd be surprised. And so, man, listen, we blasting all that away. Stay away, okay? So let's move forward. Number 10, you want to create rental reserves, okay? I'll give you an example. If the rent is $1,000 a month, keep $900 for yourself, for your mortgage or expenses or whatever you're going to use the money for. But I say keep the remaining $100 towards reserves, or it's like a savings. I say reserve because you're reserving it, but towards reserve for about 4 or 5 months, and then drop down about $50 a month. And then I did this. I saved up, like me and my wife saved up a couple thousand. And again, we're not bragging or boasting, but I mean, listen, you're going to need it. So because things will happen. And like I said, things will happen. And I'll give an example. There is this, my house, the building was built in 1922. So there's like a grease trap that was out there. And there was a lot of grease that used to come down the pipes. And because of that, the pipes got clogged up. Like every winter time. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it cost me $800 for a plumber. And I think somewhere between $600 to $800. And also I had it was one time where I was in the basement and I saw that there was water everywhere, like in my basement, and it was from the hot water. The hot water tank was gone. I mean, it was not missing, but the hot water tank had went out. And I called my tenant and I said, hey, is the hot water okay? Like, no, man, it's cold. I was like, that's how cool my tenants are. Like, they didn't say nothing. Trust me, I was not looking for them to do that. But again, I had the reserves. So the next day, the plumber had the new, water heater installed. I don't play that because if I was paying rent, then you start talking about rent deductions, and people can really go left on you. But again, sometimes people are reasonable. So at a reasonable time is about, maybe 2 days, 2 days tops for cold water. I mean, some of y'all like, I couldn't do it, so, but I'm telling you, I mean, but people know that things take time and, but some landlords, listen, I'm telling you, man, some landlords say, hey, you have to for like a week because they ain't got the money, all the money spent. Okay. But that's why I put the money to the side. I also had a grease flood when some pipes had got backed up. The people that used to stay there before I bought the building, like when I was growing up, we used to pour grease down the toilets. I had no idea you're not supposed to pour grease down the toilets or down the sink. I know it sounds crazy, but you'd be surprised. Like I had no idea. And this is growing up as a kid, we would do that. So we were probably messing with the plumbing for years, and I never knew that. So I'm telling you, you guys got to do that. Keep in mind, the chat is open. Any questions, comments, or concerns, don't be afraid to ask them, guys. That's what I'm here for. I believe that wraps it up. And so now, here's the deal. I recommend you guys become an 850 Club member. For those who don't have the membership, okay? Most of you all, well, actually, no, some of you all have, you guys are already within the middle of your consultation. Some of you guys, your consultation is up, and a lot of you, are 850 Club members already. It's only $24.95 a month. Some of them have gotten grandfathered in. I will give you guys the grandfathered in price. It's only $19.95. It will go to $24.95 at the end of the month, and it's $19.95 a month. But how it works is you get quarterly consultations for 20 minutes each, okay? And then now that's going to be, of course, every quarter, all right? And then, of course, free unlimited access to premium paid webinars on YouTube. That way you're not always, because honestly, I like the price point of what these premium webinars are, because you're getting a lot of value. Was this a lot of value? Forget me I'm not always trying to sell stuff. I'm always trying to save people money, but there's a lot of value in this, so, but please let me know, what you guys' thoughts are too. So now you guys also get $40 referral checks for paid clients. You guys get unlimited text and email for continued credit and financial education. You get month to month. I'm sorry, this is month to month and there's no contract. So there's no commitment to this, every single month that you pay. But I'm going to be doing a premium webinar, if not every month, every other month. Okay. So because with the platform I got, I paid a lot of money for it. So I'm most definitely going to be using this, only because there's a lot of stuff that I just don't have time to go over during the consultations and things of that sort. Okay. It's question that I have. How much do you set aside for reserves? I personally set aside about $100 for like the first 4 or 5 months. And then after that, I'll drop it down to about $50. Okay. Now also, you guys see at the bottom where it says first month free with code first month. And there's a site right there, the850club.com/membership. So I'm going to go back into the chat. I'm going to be answering questions that I saw. So from the most recent to old. So, of course, I see right here, it says, yes, and very reasonable in price. Oh, cool. Yeah, appreciate that. All right, so let's see here. How much do you set aside for reserves? I just answered, well, I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself. So either way, I'm going to put that right here. About, I would say, about $100 for the first, I would say 4 to 5 months. Then $50 a month. I mean, you can drop it down. That's just me, so that's just me. It's up to you until about, I would say maybe about 1,500, maybe, or maybe 1,000, depending on how long they stay there too. So you just want to be, again, you want to be reasonable. So, sorry, if you're a live and owner, do you suggest letting your tenants know you're the owner? Oh, I mean, I thought that's a very good question, actually, because I used to say that my parents owned the building, because when I bought my first house, I was 25. So I used to say my parents owned the building because I didn't think they would take me seriously because they were double my age. So, and I would say take me seriously as in like they wouldn't pay rent. But I mean, like kind of like, well, I ain't finna do this and I ain't finna do that. And man, I got lucky. I'm just because a lot of times luck plays a role, but I chose them. I could have went with some crap, but I chose them because I'm a good people reader. And things just kind of just work themselves out. Have they been late? Oh, you better believe they've been late. You better believe it. Tennis will be late, especially if you go on people that's got not the best scores. But here's the deal. I love when my tennis are late. Here's why. I charge a $15 a day late fee. Okay. So you pick up money. You pick up extra money. Then here's another thing. Most people that are late don't have anything in savings. Okay. So, and again, I'm not knocking people's financial situations. I'm talking about things that would be better for you guys for long term. So if people don't have the best credit, you better believe they're going to be sticking around with you. So when they late on rent, they ain't got money saved up in most cases. So, if they're like, man, I need to wait, we got to wait. A lot of people are paycheck to paycheck. And especially when you're paying, when people are paying rent. So you guys got to think about stuff like that because, you got to be thinking long term. And, because at first we was like, man, they late. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I like the fact that they late because they ain't got no savings. And if they ain't got no savings, guess what? They ain't got no money to move out nowhere else, especially if they gave you a non-refundable move-in fee. Okay. Now, security deposit, man, people count that money. They say, oh, we're going to get that money back and we're going to move somewhere else. So, but again, there's no guarantee, but the chances are very slim of them going anywhere. Okay. So that's a very good question there. Okay. So let me go ahead and answer that question in the chat. Let's see here. So to answer the question, because I think I did, but I kind of didn't. But I mean, you know what? I told them that I was a property manager. So that's a very smart thing to do. I'm going to type that in here too. You can tell them that you are the property manager. Okay. So yeah. All right. So I will most definitely do that for sure. Okay. Let's see here. Not in their pockets. I know that's right. And then let's see here. The answer, another older question. Can you put tenant restrictions in a lease, such as if it's a 2-unit maximum, if 2 adults? I'm going to say right here, matter of fact, I'm going to do this tenant restrictions. That way you guys can have an idea. Let's see. Restrictions. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, cool. Tenant restrictions, I would say be careful and read your local state laws. Your local state laws. And you can just easily, I would say, you can Google, like, let's say, for example, Alabama, tenant rights. And you'll look it up. I'm not in Alabama, of course, but you can do something like that. And you can also Google, let's say, for example, let's say North Carolina landlord rights, something like that. And then it'll pop up. And you guys kind of get like an idea, whatever. I don't usually like I'm just using like these random states or whatever, to kind of get like an idea of it. And you kind of go from there. But yeah, let's see here. And I say that because, again, you want to be careful because a lot of times people, they'll look stuff up and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this. And you'll be breaking the law. Sometimes you'll break it's a lot of like little areas of the fair housing law and you don't want to break it. Okay. Just be honest with you. Let's see here. Can you go over basic property insurance? Oh, yeah. Now, property insurance, it really depends on how much coverage you need. You got to be careful, guys. These insurance people, they're going to try to get you. And because they know you don't know how much coverage you need. But this is what I tell people to get. I would always get the amount that you pay for the building. So the appraised value. So for example, if you took out a loan for 150 grand for your building, okay, I know everyone's numbers are going to be different. I'm just using random numbers. You want to get $150,000 worth of insurance at minimum. That just covers the building. It doesn't cover the stuff inside the building. Okay. Now, legally, you are not responsible. Now, for example, insurance will only cover the cost of rebuilding the building. But if there's like a faulty wire in like my building and the building catches fire because of that wire, then I have to replace their stuff. Okay, so that's just so you guys know. Now, that's if it's a building issue. But if they let their area catch on fire and they have no insurance, then my insurance will put the place back as to what it was before, but it will not cover all of their items and materials and stuff like that. It's going to cover only to get it back to where it was before they moved in. So we're talking like hardwood floors and stuff like that, like the basic stuff. But that's where tenants supposed to get renters insurance to cover their own stuff, unless your building did something and it caught their stuff on fire. But now I have seen cases where the landlord, where the tenant lost, where there was like something that happened in the building, and the landlord knew about something, never fixed it, and something damaged a whole bunch of other stuff. I think it's like a flood or something, sub pump or whatever. And because they didn't have renters insurance in their states, and I mean, every case is going to be different, but I encourage your renters to get renters insurance. If they get it, they get it. They don't, they don't, so just little things like that I recommend. So let's see here. Wow, you guys got a lot of questions now. All right, so my friend and I both have properties that are under construction, need renovations. Should we wait until everything is done before advertising the apartment, or state this in our ads? I would most definitely advertise it ASAP. And people are okay with, looking things up. I'm all about commitment. I had a friend of mine who bought a 3-unit building. He was getting some stuff done to it. And he was like, man, I'm going to start showing this place. I was like, yeah, because what you can start doing is you can start customizing the place for people. That puts them in a position where they say, you know what? I like this place. I see where it's going. I can see the vision. They say, okay, great. Would you like to give me, a $5 non-refundable deposit? In exchange, I'll let you pick paint colors. That girl went crazy. So of course she picked paint colors, all the rest of this stuff. And again, she feels like now it's her home. And the paint colors wasn't too crazy. It was still neutral colors, but again, that's a smart move. I recommend showing it as soon as possible, even in its roughest stages, because people feel like, man, I may be able to customize some stuff if you're open to it, especially if it's paint colors or something like that, you may be open to it. But it's most definitely up to you. But I would say, why wait? Because that mortgage will come ASAP for real. And a lot of times people are already in, everyone's not coming from a lease that was month to month, so some people they got like a month left or 2 months left. So you got that whole process. Some people wait on the job. Some people are transferring. Some people they wait on school to start or school to end. It could be a lot of different things. So I most definitely recommend posting about it ASAP. Okay. So let's see here. Yes. What insurance is necessary for it to be a landlord? There is what they call there's 2 different types of insurances. One is if you live there and you have a tenant, and the other one is if you don't live there and it's just the tenants there. Okay. They know that if you live there, the person's chances are less likely for them to do crazy stuff versus if you're not there, they expect the place, the insurance risk are a little bit higher. So this is where you would most definitely have to get with an insurance person. But I'm be honest with you. I would say you should be around maybe $1,000 a year. I would say $1,000 a year is probably like a good average. I'm under that, but I know some people that's a little bit over that, but some people are way over that, and their building is nowhere near that amount of money, and they just got too much coverage, and they're covering the cost of the building. They're covering the cost of all materials in the building. I'm only focused on just rebuilding the building. It ain't none of my stuff in there. Okay. So, and again, now during the summertime, I get the furnace checked. I'm very proactive on stuff like that. So I make sure that things are like legit. Again, I'm nowhere near a slumlord. I make sure, we got radiator heat. I make sure I bleed the radiators. I looked up home maintenance, so I'm telling you, I be Googling stuff and YouTube and stuff myself. And I'm telling you, that's what you want to do. So I hope they helped you guys. So now it says, do you have to pay taxes on your tenant's rent? Very good question. I hope you guys are sticking around to the end. That's good. Do you have to pay taxes on your tenant's rent? Okay. Now this is where your tax person will come in. All right. So some people, they report all of it. Some people report half of it. Some people report none of it. It's up to you. But keep in mind, just by you having the building and tenants, you'll be able to have a lot of deductions. Okay, the lawnmower, the salt, the shovel, if you buy grass, any building maintenance or cosmetic paint, all of that. First off, you guys need to download. I would say download QuickBooks. QuickBooks for small businesses is free. The app is free, but when you do your taxes, they take the app starts off as free, and then if you start doing a lot of the cool stuff that it does, like I have all of my my accounts attached to it, all of my credit card accounts to it, because when I swipe my card, it'll say, hey, is this a business expense? And it's so cool because when I meet up with my tax lady at the end of the year, it's already laid out for us. So, and I'm not digging for no receipts, stuff like that. And that's QuickBooks, by the way, QuickBooks. Okay. So, and yes, I'll go over a basic interview. I'll ask about the utilities, eviction order. Yeah, I'm about to get to all that. So, I would say be prepared to pay taxes at least. So I would say go in the middle. I would say, only report about half. Now, again, this, I must give a disclaimer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax consultant. You guys can do whatever you want to. But here's the catch. If you guys buy a building, have a tenant in there, but at some point plan on moving out, you have to show income at some point, and you can't keep doing all these deductions. So just keep that in mind later down the line, because you're gonna have to show that you're financially stable to cover 2 mortgages. So like I have 2 homes myself, and I have to show that I'm financially stable to do so. But again, they count that as income, so the building covers itself. So I mean, you could be literally making $30,000-$40,000 a year, and financially, that's not, on paper, they're like, oh, this person can't handle 2 mortgages. But if you're going to have, now, when you close though, because now when I closed on my second home, they wanted to make sure that I had that second tenant in there because they counted that income. So just little things like that play a role if you're going to, do a lot of deductions the year prior for your taxes. But yes, be prepared to pay tax on that income. And again, that's why some people don't report all of it. Some people report a very small amount, like if they collecting 1,000, but they only say that they collecting like 200-300. I mean, again, I'm not saying do that. You can do whatever you want to do. But I would say ask your tax consultant, or you can play the middle game and just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to report it all. I'm not going to go to zero. I'll do about half, or about $100 less than half, or whatever, because that's how you get your deductions. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So next question is, do you require or suggest requiring renter's insurance? I would suggest that to them. I most definitely would suggest renter's insurance to them for sure. The thing about it is that you want to make sure that they understand that, hey, listen, if something happens, this building will only cover this building. I'm not responsible if something happens to your stuff. Now, there are, again, every state's different. Some states hold the landlord accountable regardless, but that's why there's renter's insurance to cover their big TV screen. You ain't pay for that big TV screen, but you'll be surprised. They'll be like, man, you did such and such, or such and such did such and such, or, and I'm telling you, if the roof is fine, but there's a tree on the outside, tree falls through, tree comes through the ceiling, and it breaks the TV. I know it's kind of crazy, but people deal with some of this stuff like really closely. You want to recommend that, with the renter's insurance. Okay. So I believe it's in my lease. I haven't done my lease in like a while. So, okay. So I do suggest my tenants get renter's insurance. Next, have you ever served an eviction order, and how does that work? I've never served an eviction order. Thank God. I almost did at one point. My tenant was like, man, she was like 15 days late, and she stopped texting, all the rest of this stuff. I was like, okay. I started putting letters up on her door or whatever, so I know that she got it. And what I did was I learned from a lady a long time ago, try your best to keep stuff out of court. Once you keep stuff in court, you just bought yourself another 30 days that you stuck with this tenant. And some people take it personal. They start setting up your houses since they know they're going to get kicked out anyway. And like, well, I ain't going to pay this person anyway. So I was just saying, hey, listen, we can do this the easy way. I'll go ahead and automatically terminate your lease. I'm gonna need, now in state of Illinois, you got to give them 30 days notice. But if you take them to court, you got to give them 30 days notice, and there's an additional time that they have to wait too in some states. They wait an additional 15 days or 10 days or 30 days. So I'm not going to do all that. I say, listen, let's just go ahead and just wrap this on up. When can you get out by? That type of thing. So once I start talking that kind of language, she's like, what, this guy is trying. You know what? Okay, I'm not going to do that. Let's just go and just do this, go this route. So that did help out. Okay. Next one. What utilities, if any, do you include in your rent? I don't include nothing. Well, technically I do. I do include, because now I live in Chicago. So Chicago, well, I don't live in Chicago. My building is in Chicago, but my building in Chicago, it has they just went up on the garbage, the sewer. That's now added to the water bill. Okay, so when that went up, of course, I just showed them, hey, I showed them like a copy of the bill. Say, listen, it went up, and I'm not looking for to pay everything, but I'm just saying, as taxes go up, as things go up, as luxury items go up, rent goes up with it. People expect that. They know that rent goes up every single year. It's only fair. But then you don't want to be like, difficult with them. So what I do is I do every 2 years. So my clients that have been there, my tenants that have been there for like, 3 years going on 4, I've only hit them with a rent increase, I think maybe twice. So I'm pretty nice about it. You know what I mean? Because again, taxes went up. As taxes go up, rent goes up. Okay. And, but I mean, some people, man, listen, you in Chicago, a lot of people give away free heat. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but man, that bill be vicious. So, and people, of course, they charge a little bit more rent so they can cover it, but man, I don't even want to do it or what they'll do is they'll say free heat, but they'll control the heat from a separate area, like, down in the basement or whatever, or they'll have the thermostat where you can't adjust it. So sometimes if it's too hot, what people will do, they'll leave the windows open. Now because sometimes some landlords, they'll have it on to the max, and then you can control however you want to control it. But I mean, it's really up to you guys on if you want to do it that way. Me personally, I ain't doing none of that. I'll do water because I mean, it's just, and the reason why, because depending on how your building is set up, you can set up where you get 2 separate water meters, but they got to come out and install that. Now you're paying all this extra money. That way they can pay their own utilities. But I don't mind paying it. I mean, because it's garbage, it's sewer, it's water. It's kind of hard to say, a person's using a certain amount of garbage. But at the same time, they know that as things go up for me, it's most definitely going up for them. But it's not like if things go up $100, I'm not going to charge them the $100. I'll probably charge them like, 50. But since I got 2 tenants in there now, if it's something about 100, I'll probably have things go up like maybe 70 or 80 because I'll take a portion of that myself too. Because I mean, I do own the building. Okay. So next question is, can you go over a basic interview and what questions to ask? Sure. So if I'm on the phone, I'll just say, of course, hey, how are you? My name is Calvin. How soon are you looking to, and pretty much these are the questions I kind of typed in here, actually, too. And I'm not trying to be rude or nothing like that. What I'm saying is that, I was kind of thinking about it as I go, but I have no problem doing it. So either way, I'll say, hey, my name is Calvin. I see that, I saw that you put an inquiry online about renting, at this apartment space. And they'll say, yeah, absolutely. I say, okay, great. How soon are you looking to move? I'm looking to move like, man, like as soon as possible. Okay, great. How do you like your last place? Oh, last place is pretty cool. Okay, what made you move? Man, they had, property management changes, yada, yada, or I thought I had a landlord. I got a slumlord. You'll hear everything. Okay. And I said, okay, cool. All right. Well, the rent is, such and such amount. I do need to see check stubs. And I do, of course, I will be getting an updated report and bureau, things of that sort. I will be doing a background check. Will any of that be a problem before we move forward? Nope. Okay, great. And then I'll say, okay, now let's talk a little bit about, the income. How much do you make per hour? Oh, I'm salary. Or I make, X amount of dollars. Do the math. And while and kind of get like an idea, so like, for example, you need to know certain numbers. Or I always tell people just multiply the number times 2. And that's normally what it comes out to by the end of the year. So if they make $12 an hour, multiply that times 2, it comes out to 24, and they're around $24,000 a year. And you guys can do it. Just multiply it, just by 12. But I mean, multiply by 2. But you can also do the math, on a monthly basis, and you'll see the numbers are very close. If they make $15 an hour, that's around 30 grand. If they make $20 an hour, that's around 40 grand. So, and kind of get like an idea of what you're willing to go by. Because remember, I said go by 40% take home. So and I ask them, I say, hey, are you hourly or salary at your job? Oh, I'm hourly. Okay, great. How much do you make an hour? Oh, I make $9. Okay. Now legally, I'm supposed to make sure that you're financially capable of handling this type of rent. Oh, well, no, it's only bill. My only bill is my cell phone bill. This. I mean, I got to move out. This. I said, I completely understand. But I tell you what, I do have an applicant that I'm working on. You always want to have a plan B. And now I tell you guys, like, so you saying lie to them? Well, they're not. A lot of times they're not the only call you took. It ain't like you taking like a lot of times after the first phone call, you now can use that first phone call as I got some people that's making a little bit more that's in a better position, or hey, I got some people that's very close on it. I only got it listed still because that's not 100% done just yet. So you kind of just keep it like that, keep it real general, and once you kind of find out what you need to find out, kind of go from there. But people must be financially capable of being able to rent. That does play a role. Okay, so but that's normally how that process goes over the phone. Now, when they get there, of course, I show them the property and all that type of stuff. And again, look for like mannerisms and stuff. And I ask about their last place, like what'd you like about your last place, or what made you move, or what made you want to choose this area, that way you can kind of find out if they desperate, if they need to move. And again, like both of my tenants moved in like pretty fairly, I would say within a week or so of talking to them and doing like the application and all that. So I mean, they were pretty swift. But you get some people that's tied down to a lease, So I mean, so that conversation may go a little bit different. But you want to get people to see it ASAP. The more people that actually see it, I would say about 80% of the people that I talk to now, maybe about 60, 70%. That's a big difference. About 70% of the people I talk to actually came to see the property. The phone was always blowing up because they love the description. They love the Christmas special. They love the no move-in fee. They love the only $300 move-in fee. So little things like that, people did like those. Okay, so that kind of gives you guys an idea of everything. So last call for any questions, comments, or concerns on this webinar. And how'd you guys like the webinar, by the way? Was everything cool? You guys liked it? We'll put that in the chat or whatever. So I'll make sure I answer all the questions. Okay. So any questions, comments, or concerns? Going once, going twice. All right. So if you guys do come up with a question, I'll let you guys email me throughout the from now until let's say tomorrow. And if not a problem, I'll go ahead and answer it. Some of you guys are in the middle of your consultation anyway, so of course I have no problem answering it, doing it that way too. And a lot of you guys are 850 Club members, things of that. So again, you guys got another great webinar. A lot more great stuff is coming up. I got some stuff, man, you guys are gonna really love. I'm going to be talking about how I flip the house. I want to talk about the money I make from YouTube. I want to talk about a lot of stuff. So you guys most definitely want to become 850 Club members if you're not 850 Club members. Got a question here. How you deal with tenants that have been on their jobs for a short period of time? You know what? I go by the previous job. If they've been on their job for like 3 months and then they have had and they have like the previous job, they've been on the job for like 3 months, that's kind of unstable to me. And most of the time things are going to have links. So I'll give an example. If a person was on their previous job for let's say 4 months and now they've been on this job for like 2 months, 9 times out of 10 they're not even going to have the money to move in anyway. So there's little things like that. Or 9 times out of 10, so I'm not saying that people don't go through stuff. People most definitely go through stuff. But you got to just start kind of paying attention to things, because if they don't have it, it's going to be a lot of stuff that they're not going to have. And you got to ask yourself, do you want to put yourself in this situation? Now, legally, there are things that you cannot do or say online, but in reality, this is your business. So they're not looking for you to just say yes to anybody just to keep from breaking any laws, saying, oh, well, I'm not taking no Section 8, or I'm not taking people with disabilities, or I don't take white people with 3 kids. Whatever that excuse may be, all that stuff is illegal. But in this case, man, listen, you have a business to run. You have to do it make sense. I don't care about race. I don't care too much about age, so I mean, no, but I'm very flexible in that end. But I am all about the money in their check stubs. So I'm telling you, people got good jobs. That's all I care about, is that income. Okay. So thank you guys so much. Oh, good. You guys liked it. Good. I'm glad you guys liked it, guys. So thank you so much. Make sure you guys become 850 Club members. If you're not, you'll save a ton of money on the future webinars. The price will always start at $35. And again, not just trying to make things salesy, but I mean, this is stuff I don't have time to go over on a one-on-one basis. So it's so great to be on a separate platform and just break down one subject. Because as you can see, one subject can turn into like an hour and a half. Dang, it's been an hour and a half that quick. So, but yeah, I mean, this was like totally worth it. I'm sure it's like a lot of good information. So, but either way, yeah. So thank you guys so much. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. between now and tomorrow if you can. 850 Club members, you guys know, as always, you get unlimited texts, unlimited emails. So I'm not trying to be difficult for anybody, but I always have to put priority on people that, you know, that take care of things in advance, because I got a lot more premium stuff that's coming up, guys. So, but thank you guys so much. I don't see any more questions coming through, but you guys can always shoot me an email at info@the850club.com, or just respond to the email that you guys got to actually get the login. But thank you guys so much. Take care and have a great night.